She built her life on lies. I'm here for the truth.
My wife is gone. Car crash on Highway 95, 3 days ago at 11:47 p.m. The funeral costs $43,000, so I sell everything. Our wedding china, her jewelry, even the ring I still wear like a brand burned into my finger. Her sister Maddie leans in at the graveside, designer heels sinking into the wet earth, and whispers, "She was leaving you anyway, Danny. For her yoga instructor." Nothing like a burial to bring out family secrets and vultures. I'm Danny Reeves, 38 years old, owner of Knockout Boxing Gym on the south side of Boston. Used to be my dad's place before he died 10 years back. Now it's mine. 4 walls, heavy bags, and the smell of sweat mixed with broken dreams. Not exactly what Sarah had in mind when she married me 12 years ago. Sarah was an attorney at Whitman and Associates, one of those glass tower firms downtown where they charge $800 an hour to argue about commas. Smart as heck, ambitious, and lately distant as the moon. I thought it was work stress. Turns out it was Tyler Morrison, 28 years old, 6-pack abs, and an Instagram account with 50,000 followers watching him bend into impossible positions. The funeral reception is at Maddie's house in Newton, one of those colonial mansions with a circular driveway and enough marble to build a mausoleum. Maddie inherited it from her first husband, some tech guy who died young and left her rich enough to never work again. She spends her time on charity boards and judging everyone else's life choices. "Danny, you look terrible," she says, air-kissing my cheek. "When's the last time you showered?" "This morning, thanks for asking." "I'm just saying, Sarah always worried about your presentation." The yoga instructor is here, of course. Tyler Morrison stands by the buffet table, looking like he stepped out of a wellness magazine. Tight black shirt, perfectly tousled hair, that serene expression these meditation types practice in the mirror. He's talking to Sarah's law firm colleagues, probably explaining how grief is just another form of attachment. I grab a beer from the kitchen and watch him work the room. He's good at it, the concerned friend, the spiritual advisor, the shoulder to cry on. 3 different women give him their phone numbers. He pockets them with the same calm smile he probably used on my wife. "You okay, Danny?" It's Jules Martinez, my best friend since high school. She used to be a cop before she got fed up with the politics and started her own private investigation business. 5'4", built like a fire hydrant, with eyes that miss nothing. Peachy, just watching my wife's boyfriend work his magic. "You want me to accidentally spill wine on his shirt?" "Save it. Guy like that probably thinks stains are just the universe testing his inner peace." The crowd starts thinning around 8. Tyler approaches me by the door, hands clasped in front of him like he's about to lead a prayer circle. "Danny, I wanted to express my condolences. Sarah was a beautiful soul." "Yeah? How beautiful?" His smile never wavers. "I sense a lot of anger in you. That's natural. Grief manifests in many forms. If you ever want to talk or maybe try some meditation..." "I'll stick to punching things, thanks." "Violence only creates more suffering, Danny. Sarah wouldn't want..." "Don't!" The word comes out harder than I intended. "Don't tell me what she'd want." He nods, still serene, still untouchable. "Of course, I'll keep you in my thoughts." After everyone leaves, I help Maddie clean up. She's changed into jeans and a sweater, looking more human without the funeral performance. "I shouldn't have said that about Tyler," she says, loading plates into the dishwasher. "Not today." "But it's true." She sighs. "Sarah came to me about 6 months ago. She was confused, unhappy. Said you two had grown apart. So she decided to grow closer to Captain Downward Dog." It wasn't like that. At first, anyway, she started taking his classes for stress relief. Then they began talking after sessions. He was a good listener. "I bet he was." "Danny, I'm not defending what she did, but Sarah felt like you'd given up. On the gym, on yourself, on your marriage. She said it was like living with a ghost." The words hit harder than any punch I've taken, because maybe they're true. The gym's been losing money for 3 years. I've been going through the motions, training kids who'll never make it past amateur fights, fixing equipment with duct tape and prayers. Sarah suggested selling it a dozen times. I always said no, but never explained why. How do you explain that your father's ghost lives in those walls? That every time you think about walking away, you hear his voice telling you that Reeveses don't quit? I finish helping Maddie and drive home to our empty house in Southie. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a mortgage that'll outlive me. Sarah's coffee mug is still in the sink. Her reading glasses are on the nightstand next to a half-finished legal thriller. I pour 3 fingers of whiskey and sit in my chair. The ugly recliner Sarah always hated but tolerated, because it was the only thing I'd brought from my bachelor apartment. The TV remote is on her side of the couch. Everything's on her side now. That's when I see her purse. It's sitting on the kitchen counter where the cops left it after returning her personal effects. Black leather, expensive, with enough compartments to hide a small country. I've never gone through Sarah's purse. Seemed like violating some kind of marriage treaty. Tonight, treaties don't matter. Wallet, keys, lipstick, breath mints, tampons, business cards, receipts, and a USB drive I've never seen before. It's small, silver, with a piece of tape wrapped around it. Written on the tape in Sarah's handwriting, "If I die before 40. My hands shake as I plug it into my laptop. One file, a video. Sarah's face fills the screen, but she looks different. Scared. The background is her office at the law firm, but the lights are dim, like she recorded this after hours. Danny, if you're watching this, they ended me. The whiskey glass slips from my hand and shatters on the hardwood floor. I know how that sounds. Paranoid, crazy. But I found out something about your family, about your sister Emma. Something terrible. The proof is hidden at Maddie's house. She was the only one I could trust. Check the safe in her bedroom closet. The combination is your father's birthday. Sarah's eyes are red like she's been crying. I'm sorry about Tyler. I'm sorry about everything. I was trying to protect you, but I think I made it worse. If something happens to me, don't trust Emma. Don't trust anyone except Maddie and Jules. They're the only ones who... The video cuts off. I call Maddie's house. No answer. Cell phone goes straight to voicemail. I try 3 more times, then grab my keys. The drive to Newton takes 25 minutes through empty streets. Maddie's house is dark except for a single light in an upstairs window. I ring the doorbell, knock, call her name. Nothing. The spare key is under the fake rock by the garden shed, same place it's been for 5 years. I let myself in and call out as I climb the stairs. Maddie, it's Danny. I need to talk to you. The light is coming from her bedroom. The door is open. I can see her feet at the end of the bed, still wearing the jeans from earlier. She's not moving. I find her husband Richard in the bathroom, slumped over the toilet. Their teenage son Michael is in his room, headphones still on, controller in his hand like he fell asleep playing video games. None of them are sleeping. My phone is in my hand, emergency already dialed, when I hear sirens in the distance. Getting closer. Too close, too fast, like someone called them before I got here. Like someone's been waiting. I always wanted to be the hero in my own story. Turns out I'm the guy holding a stained phone in the dark, explaining to a cop why there's a dead family and I'm the only one breathing. Detective Ray Kowalski is 60 years old, built like a retired linebacker, with the kind of mustache that went out of style in the 80s. He's been working homicide for 25 years, which means he's seen every lie, every excuse, every desperate story a guilty man can tell. So you just happened to show up here tonight? I told you. My wife left a video message. She said there was something hidden here. Uh-huh. And where's this video? I hand him my laptop. He watches Sarah's message twice, taking notes. His partner, Detective Lisa Chen, photographs everything while the medical examiner does his work. When did you last see Mrs. Patterson alive? Kowalski asks. Tonight, at the reception after my wife's funeral. How'd she seem? Normal, sad. We cleaned up together, talked about Sarah. She mentioned feeling threatened, scared of anyone? No, nothing like that. Chen approaches us, latex gloves stained with God knows what. No signs of forced entry? No obvious wounds? Could be poisoning, maybe carbon monoxide. Or maybe they interrupted something, Kowalski says, looking at me. Maybe someone was looking for something and didn't expect company. The questioning goes on for 3 hours. They take my fingerprints, photograph my hands, test for traces of firearm discharge. Standard procedure, they say, but I know what they're thinking. Husband's wife dies in suspicious car crash. 3 days later, her sister's family turns up dead. Only connection is the grieving widower who just happened to discover the bodies. Jules shows up around 2 in the morning with a lawyer named Patricia Voss. Sharp suit, sharper eyes, the kind of attorney who eats prosecutors for breakfast. My client is cooperating voluntarily, Voss tells Kowalski. But unless you're charging him with something, we're leaving. They let me go with the usual warnings about staying available. Jules drives me home while Voss follows in her BMW. You okay? Jules asks. 3 people are dead. I'm the prime suspect in whatever happened, and my wife was apparently investigating my sister for something bad enough to get ended over. So, no, I'm not okay. Tell me about Emma. Emma Reeves, technically Emma Walsh now, though she kept our father's name for her medical practice. She's 3 years older than me, a psychiatrist with offices in Cambridge. We haven't spoken in 2 years, not since Dad's funeral when she suggested I sell the gym and find a real career. We never got along, I tell Jules. She always thought she was better than the rest of us. Went to Harvard, married some investment banker, lives in a house that costs more than most people make in a lifetime. Why would Sarah be investigating her? I have no idea. Jules parks outside my house and turns off the engine. Danny, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be straight with me. Did you end those people? No. Did you have anything to do with Sarah's accident? No. She studies my face in the streetlight. After 15 years of friendship, she knows my tells better than anyone. Okay, then we figure out who did. I don't sleep. Instead, I sit at the kitchen table with Sarah's laptop, watching her video over and over, looking for clues I missed. She mentions my father's birthday, March 15th, 1952. She says Emma did something terrible, something worth ending for. At 7 a.m., I drive to the gym. It's the only place that still makes sense, the only place where the rules are simple. Hit the bag, lift the weights, train hard, go home. No mysteries, no dead families, no sisters with secrets. The gym opens at 6, but I have a key. Tommy Kellerman is already there, working the speed bag with the rhythm of a man who's been doing it for 40 years. Tommy used to fight professionally back in the 70s before a detached retina ended his career. Now he trains kids from the neighborhood, teaching them that discipline matters more than talent. Heard about Sarah, he says without stopping his routine. Sorry for your loss. Thanks. Also heard about the Patterson family. Cops been asking questions around the neighborhood. News travels fast in Southie. By noon, everyone will know I found the bodies. By evening, half the bar stools at Murphy's will have theories about what really happened. Tommy, you ever meet my sister Emma? Once or twice. Came to your dad's fights when you were kids. Seemed nice enough, but he shrugs. Different world, you know? How different? Rich different. The kind of different that makes people do things they wouldn't normally do. At 10 a.m., Tyler Morrison posts an Instagram story. It's him in lotus position on a beach somewhere, with text overlay reading, "Sending love and light to all souls transitioning to their next journey. Death is not the end, but a doorway. Namaste." 47 people heart it within minutes. The comments are full of crying emojis and praise for his wisdom. I want to put my fist through the screen. Instead, I call Jules. I need you to look into Tyler Morrison. Everything you can find. The yoga guy? Why? Because he's posting inspirational BS about death in doorways 12 hours after my wife's sister gets ended. That's not exactly evidence of, just do it, okay? Something's not right about any of this. Jules sighs. I'll make some calls, but Danny, you need to be careful. If the cops think you're conducting your own investigation, it's going to look bad. Worse than being their prime suspect. Yeah, much worse. I spend the afternoon training, working the heavy bag until my knuckles bleed through the tape. Physical exhaustion is the only thing that quiets the noise in my head. The questions, the guilt, the growing certainty that Sarah died because of something I don't understand. At 5 p.m., Jules calls back. Tyler Morrison, 28, originally from Portland, Oregon. Moved to Boston 3 years ago. No criminal record, but get this, he's not actually certified to teach yoga. What do you mean? I mean, he never completed any accredited training program. The certificates on his studio wall are fake. High-quality fakes, but fake. How'd you find that out? Called the Yoga Alliance, pretended to be verifying his credentials for an insurance claim. They have no record of him. What else? He's got money problems. Studio's 3 months behind on rent. Owes 15 grand in back taxes. His Instagram makes him look successful, but the reality's different. So he's a fraud. A broke fraud. The kind of guy who might be motivated to do things for the right price. That evening, I drive to Tyler's studio in the Back Bay. It's called Serenity Now. Cute reference. Probably lost on most of his clients. The evening class is in session. 20 women in expensive yoga pants following Tyler through a series of poses while ambient music plays from hidden speakers. I wait in my truck across the street, watching through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Tyler moves between his students, adjusting their positions, offering gentle corrections. He's good at the performance. The calm voice, the knowing smile, the way he makes each woman feel like she's the only person in the room. At 8:30, the class ends. Students file out, chatting about their weekend plans, their auras, their chakras. Tyler locks up and walks to his car, a white BMW that's probably leased. I follow him. He drives to a bar in Cambridge called The Thinking Cup, one of those places that serves craft cocktails and artisanal cheese plates. I park half a block away and watch him through the window. He orders a drink, something clear with a lime, and checks his phone constantly. At 9:15, someone joins him. Emma. My sister slides into the booth across from Tyler wearing a black dress that probably costs more than most people's monthly rent. They don't hug, don't kiss, barely acknowledge each other. This isn't a romantic meeting, it's business. I can't hear what they're saying, but I can read body language. Emma is angry, Tyler is defensive. She slides something across the table, an envelope. He opens it, counts what's inside, nods. They talk for another 10 minutes. Emma gets up first, leaving Tyler alone with his drink and whatever was in the envelope. I have two choices: follow Emma or confront Tyler. I choose confrontation. Tyler looks up as I slide into Emma's seat. His serene expression flickers for just a moment before reasserting itself. Danny? What a surprise. I bet. Nice meeting with my sister. Emma and I were just discussing some mutual concerns. Like what? Grief counseling, actually. She's worried about how you're processing Sarah's death. Funny. She hasn't called to check on me once. Tyler sips his drink, studying me over the rim. Your sister cares about you, Danny. More than you know. What was in the envelope? I'm sorry? The envelope Emma gave you. What was in it? His smile never wavers, but something changes in his eyes, something cold. I think you're confused. Grief can play tricks on the mind. Make us see things that aren't there. I lean forward close enough to smell his expensive cologne. My wife is dead. Her sister's family is dead. And you're sitting here collecting envelopes from my sister while posting spiritual BS on Instagram. So, no, I'm not confused. I'm pissed off. Danny, I understand you're in pain. Stop. Just stop with the therapy voice. We both know what you are. And what's that? A fraud, a con man, a piece of crap who seduces married women for money. Tyler's mask finally slips. The serene expression disappears, replaced by something ugly. Your wife came to me, Danny. She was lonely, neglected, married to a washed-up boxer who spent more time feeling sorry for himself than taking care of his family. I didn't seduce her. I gave her what she needed. Which was attention, respect, someone who listened when she talked, instead of grunting and reaching for another beer. The words hit their target, because they're true or close enough to true that they hurt. So you decided to help yourself to my marriage. I helped Sarah find her authentic self. If that threatened your masculine ego, I grab his wrist, fast enough that he doesn't see it coming. Not hard enough to break anything, but hard enough to get his attention. Here's my authentic self, Tyler. I'm a guy who's lost everything in the past week. My wife, my marriage, my peace of mind. I've got nothing left to lose, which makes me dangerous in ways your meditation app didn't prepare you for. He tries to pull away, but I tighten my grip. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to tell me what Emma paid you for, or I'm going to start making your life very uncomfortable. You're threatening me. I'm promising you. Tyler looks around the bar, but no one's paying attention to us. Just two guys having a conversation. Let go of me, Danny. Answer the question. Go to heck. I release his wrist and stand up. See you around, Tyler. As I walk away, I hear him call out, "You have no idea what you're dealing with, Danny. No idea at all." He's right, but I'm starting to get some ideas of my own. Turns out my family tree is more a bramble bush of lies and poison than anything you'd want to climb. I spend the next morning at Jules's office, a converted warehouse space in Somerville that she shares with a bail bondsman and a guy who sells vintage motorcycles. The walls are covered with case files, surveillance photos, and a whiteboard where she maps out investigations like a general planning a campaign. "Tell me everything you know about your parents' deaths," she says, pouring coffee from a pot that looks like it survived the Korean War. Dad had a heart attack 10 years ago. Mom died of cancer 2 years later. Nothing suspicious about either one. How old were they? Dad was 58. Mom was 56. Jules writes the numbers on her whiteboard. Young for natural deaths, especially your father. Was he in poor health? He smoked for 30 years, drank too much, ate nothing but red meat and fried food. The heart attack wasn't exactly a shock. What about your mom? Lung cancer. Never smoked a day in her life, but she lived with Dad for 35 years. Secondhand smoke, the doctor said. Who handled their estates? Emma, she was the executor for both wills. Jules underlines Emma's name on the board. How much money was involved? Not much. The gym, the house, some life insurance. Maybe 200 grand total. How was it divided? 50-50 between Emma and me. But I let her buy out my share of the house because I didn't need it, and she used her half of the insurance money for the down payment. So Emma ended up with the house, and you got what? The gym and about $50,000 in cash. Jules stares at the board, connecting invisible dots. Danny, what if your parents didn't die of natural causes? That's crazy. I saw Dad collapse. I rode in the ambulance with him. Heart attacks can be induced. So can cancer with the right chemicals over time. The coffee tastes like motor oil in my mouth. You're saying Emma was responsible for our parents' deaths? I'm saying Sarah thought Emma did something terrible enough to get ended over. And your parents died young, leaving Emma with a house that's probably worth $500,000 now. But I was there when Dad... You were there when he collapsed. But what about the weeks before? The months? Did Emma have access to his food, his drinks, his medication? The answer hits me like a punch to the solar plexus. Emma was Dad's doctor. Not officially, she's a psychiatrist, not a cardiologist, but she prescribed his blood pressure medication, monitored his health, made sure he was taking his pills. She was taking care of him, I whisper. Taking care of him how? His medication. She said his regular doctor was an idiot, that she could manage his prescriptions better. Dad trusted her because she was family. Jules adds this to the board, drawing lines between names and dates. What about your mother? Emma insisted she see an oncologist in Cambridge instead of the local guy. Said he was a specialist, the best in the city. Mom's insurance didn't cover him, but Emma paid the difference. Did you ever meet this oncologist? Once, at the funeral, Dr. something or other. I don't remember his name. Jules turns to her computer. I'm going to make some calls. See if I can track down your parents' medical records, find out exactly what medications they were taking. While she works, I drive to the gym. It's Tuesday afternoon, which means the after-school crowd. Kids from the neighborhood who'd rather learn to box than sell pills or join gangs. Most of them can't afford the monthly fees, so I let them train for free. Sarah used to say I was running a charity, not a business. She was right, but some things matter more than money. Kevin Murphy is working the heavy bag, throwing combinations with the focused intensity of a kid who's found his calling. He's 16, lives with his grandmother, dreams of turning pro someday. He's got the talent for it, but talent only gets you so far in boxing. You need discipline, dedication, and luck. Mostly luck. Looking good, Kev. Keep your guard up on the follow-through. Yes, sir, Mr. Reeves. Tommy Kellerman approaches me while Kevin continues his workout. Cops were here this morning. Asked a lot of questions about you. What kind of questions? Your state of mind. Whether you seemed angry about your wife. Whether you ever talked about her family. What did you tell them? The truth. That you're a good man who's been dealt a bad hand. Tommy's been like a father to me since Dad died. He taught me everything I know about boxing, about running the gym, about treating people with respect, regardless of their circumstances. Tommy, do you remember my sister coming around when we were kids? Sure, Emma was always the smart one. Your parents were proud of her. Did she and Dad get along? Tommy considers the question, working his jaw like he's chewing on something tough. Your father loved both his kids, but Emma, she had opinions about how he should live his life, what he should eat, how much he should drink, when he should retire. Opinions are demands. With Emma, what's the difference? At 4 p.m., my phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Stop digging or you'll end up like them. I show it to Tommy. He reads it twice, frowning. You tell the cops about this? And say what? Someone sent me a threatening text? They'll think I sent it to myself to throw suspicion off me. Maybe you should anyway. Maybe. But I don't call the cops. Instead, I call Jules. I got something, she says before I can tell her about the text. Your father's medical records. Emma prescribed him a medication called digoxin for his heart condition. Is that normal? It's a legitimate heart medication, but it's tricky. Too little and it doesn't work. Too much and it causes heart arrhythmia, which can lead to cardiac arrest. How much is too much? Not much. Double the prescribed dose would be dangerous. Triple would be lethal. What about Mom? Still working on that. Her oncologist moved to California 2 years ago, and his practice was bought by a larger group. Records are harder to track down. I tell Jules about the threatening text. She's quiet for a long moment. Danny, I think you should stay somewhere else tonight. Maybe get a hotel room. I'm not running from whoever sent this. I'm not asking you to run. I'm asking you to be smart. If someone ended 4 people, they won't hesitate to make it 5. That evening, I ignore Jules's advice and go home. But I take precautions. Check all the locks, keep the lights on, sleep with a baseball bat next to the bed. Not that it would do much good against poison or car bomb, but it makes me feel less helpless. At 2 a.m., I wake to the sound of breaking glass. The kitchen window is shattered, and there's a brick on the floor surrounded by fragments. Wrapped around the brick is a note. Last warning. I call emergency, then Jules. The cops arrive first, not Kowalski and Chen, but 2 patrol officers who take a report and promise to increase patrols in the neighborhood. They're gone within an hour. Jules arrives with coffee and a grim expression. Pack a bag. You're staying at my place tonight. Jules, don't argue. Someone's escalating, and I'm not finding your body tomorrow morning. She's right, but it galls me to admit it. Running away feels like giving up, and Reeveses don't quit. But Reeveses also don't get themselves ended over pride. I pack enough clothes for a few days and follow Jules to her apartment in Davis Square. It's a third-floor walk-up with deadbolts on the door and security cameras in the hallway. Occupational hazards of being a private investigator. I've got a couch that pulls out, she says, clearing case files off the coffee table. It's not the Ritz, but it's safe. Thanks. I owe you. You don't owe me anything. That's what friends do. At 7 a.m., Jules shakes me awake. She's already dressed, holding a cup of coffee, and wearing the expression she gets when she's solved a puzzle. I found your mother's oncologist, Dr. Richard Steinberg. He didn't move to California. He died in a car accident 18 months ago. So the doctor who treated your mother for the last 6 months of her life doesn't exist anymore. Very convenient. You think Emma? I think your sister has been very careful about covering her tracks, but not careful enough. Jules hands me a manila folder. Inside are copies of medical records, prescription forms, and insurance claims. Your mother was being treated with an experimental medication. Very expensive, very aggressive, supposedly cutting edge. But here's the thing, the treatment doesn't exist. What do you mean? I mean the medication listed on these forms was never approved by the FDA. It was never tested in clinical trials. It was never manufactured by any pharmaceutical company. Then what was Emma giving her? That's what we need to find out. Nice guys finish last. I was born for third place anyway. Time to see how the villains play. The first rule of boxing is that you can't win a fight by only playing defense. Eventually, you have to throw punches. The second rule is that the best defense is often a good offense. Time to test both theories. Jules drops me at the gym while she continues digging into Emma's background. I've got 3 hours before the afternoon training session, which gives me time to plan my counterattack. Tyler Morrison's Instagram account is a goldmine of self-incrimination. Photos from expensive restaurants, designer yoga clothes, weekend trips to Martha's Vineyard, all on a yoga instructor's salary from a studio that's 3 months behind on rent. Either he's got a trust fund, or someone's been paying him well for services rendered. I screenshot everything, then start making calls. The first call is to Channel 7's consumer protection reporter, Maria Santos. She specializes in exposing fraudulent businesses and fake credentials. I leave a voicemail with Tyler's name, studio address, and a brief summary of his fake certifications. The second call is to the Massachusetts Department of Revenue. I report Tyler's studio for potential tax evasion, noting the discrepancy between his apparent lifestyle and his declared income. The third call is to his landlord. I pose as a concerned citizen who noticed water damage in the building and wanted to make sure it was being addressed properly. The landlord, frustrated about unpaid rent, tells me more than he should about Tyler's financial problems. By noon, I've planted seeds that will grow into Tyler's public destruction. But that's just the appetizer. The main course requires a more personal touch. Tyler's Tuesday evening class is hot yoga for beginners. 90 minutes of poses in a room heated to 95 degrees. Perfect for what I have in mind. I arrive at 6 p.m., an hour before class starts. The studio is empty except for Tyler, who's adjusting the thermostat and setting up his sound system. He doesn't notice me watching from across the street. At 6:30, students start arriving, mostly women in their 30s and 40s carrying yoga mats and water bottles, chatting about their day. They trust Tyler to guide them through their practice, to keep them safe, to respect the vulnerability that comes with physical exertion. He doesn't deserve their trust. At 7 p.m., I enter the studio. Tyler looks up from his meditation cushion, and for a moment, his serene mask slips. He recovers quickly, but not quickly enough. Danny, I didn't know you practiced yoga. I don't, but I thought it was time to try something new. The students are arranging their mats in neat rows, preparing for class. They don't know they're about to witness Tyler's professional self-destruction. I'm afraid this class is for beginners, Nyan, Tyler says. Given your emotional state, perhaps a private session would be more appropriate. Oh, I think this is perfect. Very public. Very authentic. Tyler's jaw tightens, but he can't make a scene without looking unprofessional. He's trapped by his own image. Very well. Please find a spot at the back. I unroll a borrowed yoga mat and sit cross-legged, watching Tyler begin his routine. He welcomes the class, talks about setting intentions, guides them through breathing exercises. The performance is flawless, but I can see the tension in his shoulders, the way his eyes keep flicking to me. 20 minutes into the class, I raise my hand. Excuse me, Tyler, I have a question about your credentials. The room goes quiet. Tyler's smile becomes strained. Perhaps we could discuss that after class, Danny. I think everyone would be interested to know. Where did you get your yoga certification? I've studied with many teachers over the years. But specifically, which organization certified you to teach? The Yoga Alliance has no record of you completing any accredited program. Murmurs ripple through the class. Students exchange glances, suddenly uncertain. Tyler's voice remains calm, but sweat beads on his forehead, and not from the heat. There are many paths to yoga mastery, Danny. Certification is just paperwork. Paperwork that your students' insurance companies require. Paperwork that protects them if you injure someone through incompetence or negligence. A woman in the front row raises her hand. Tyler, is this true? Are you not certified? Certification doesn't determine wisdom or ability. It determines legal liability, I interrupt. It determines whether the studio's insurance covers injuries. It determines whether you're qualified to teach hot yoga, which can be dangerous if not properly supervised. The room erupts in concerned voices. Students start rolling up their mats, demanding explanations, threatening to report Tyler to the Better Business Bureau. Tyler tries to regain control, but it's too late. The spell is broken. His authority evaporates like sweat in the overheated room. This is harassment, he says, pointing at me. This man is stalking me, disrupting my business. This man is asking questions you should be able to answer, says the woman in the front row. She's already packing her bag. Questions about qualifications and credentials. Within 10 minutes, the studio is empty except for Tyler and me. He sits on his meditation cushion, no longer serene, no longer in control. Congratulations, he says. You've destroyed my livelihood. Your livelihood was built on lies. Everyone lies, Danny. Your wife lied to you for 6 months. Your sister lies to everyone about everything. I just lied about yoga certificates. What did Emma pay you to do? Tyler laughs, but there's no humor in it. You really don't know, do you? You have no idea what your family is capable of. Enlighten me. Emma didn't pay me to seduce Sarah. She paid me to keep her distracted while she handled some family business. What kind of business? The kind that involves making problems disappear permanently. My blood turns cold. You're saying Emma ended Sarah? I'm saying Emma is very good at making things look like accidents. Car crashes, heart attacks, cancer. She's a doctor, Danny. She knows how to end people without leaving evidence. Why are you telling me this? Because you've already destroyed my life. What's left to protect? Tyler stands up, no longer the graceful yoga instructor, but a broken man facing the wreckage of his career. Emma told me Sarah was getting too close to the truth about your parents. She was asking questions, making phone calls, talking to medical examiners. So Emma hired me to distract her, to make her focus on our affair instead of her investigation. But Sarah kept investigating anyway, right up until her brakes failed on Highway 95. The room spins around me. I grip the edge of a chair to keep from falling. The Patterson family? They knew too much. Sarah had shared her suspicions with Maddie, shown her the evidence. Emma couldn't risk them going to the police. So she ended them too. Like I said, your sister is very good at making problems disappear. Tyler walks to the door, then turns back. You want some advice, Danny? Run. Take what's left of your life and disappear, because Emma's not done cleaning up loose ends. What makes you think I'm a loose end? Tyler's smile is sad and knowing. Because now you know the truth, and Emma doesn't leave witnesses. The abandoned Riverside amusement park sits on 20 acres of rotting dreams beside the Charles River. Built in the 1950s, it closed 15 years ago when the city decided the land was worth more as condos than as childhood memories. Now it's a graveyard of rusted rides and broken promises, waiting for developers to finish what time started. It's also the perfect place for a final confrontation. I arrive at midnight using bolt cutters to get through the chain link fence. Jules is already there, hidden behind the defunct carousel with a camera and a direct line to the state police. The plan is simple. Get Emma to confess, record everything, and let the law handle the rest. Of course, plans rarely survive contact with reality. Emma arrives 10 minutes later, driving her black Mercedes through a gap in the fence I hadn't noticed. She's not alone. 2 men get out with her, professional muscle in expensive suits, the kind of men who solve problems with violence and sleep well afterward. Danny! Emma calls out, her voice echoing off the broken funhouse mirrors. I know you're here. Let's talk. I step out from behind the tilt-a-whirl, hands visible, trying to look non-threatening. The recording device in my pocket is already running. Hello, Emma. She looks exactly like what she is, a successful psychiatrist who never got her hands dirty. Designer dress, perfect makeup, not a hair out of place. Even in an abandoned amusement park at midnight, she projects authority and control. You've been asking a lot of questions, little brother. I've been getting a lot of answers. Tyler talked to you. I expected as much. He was always weak. Weak enough to help you end our parents? Emma's laugh is genuinely amused. Tyler had nothing to do with Mom and Dad. That was all me. The casual admission hits me like a physical blow. Part of me had hoped Jules was wrong, that there was some other explanation for everything that had happened. Why? Money, of course, and control. Dad was never going to retire, never going to sell the gym, never going to let you build a real life. He was holding both of us back with his blue-collar pride and his stubborn refusal to change. So you poisoned him. I adjusted his medication. Digoxin is tricky. The therapeutic dose and the toxic dose are very close together. A simple miscalculation, easily explained as a medical error. And Mom? Mom was collateral damage. She started asking questions about Dad's death, wondering why his medication levels were so high. I couldn't risk her talking to other doctors. Emma signals to her companions, who spread out to flank me. Professional butchers, moving with practiced efficiency. The fake cancer treatment was inspired, she continues. Expensive, experimental, completely untraceable because it didn't actually exist. Just saline solution with enough real chemotherapy to make her sick. She died believing she was fighting for her life. You're a monster. I'm a realist. Mom and Dad were going to die anyway. Dad from his lifestyle choices. Mom from the stress of watching him end himself. I just accelerated the timeline and made sure their death served a purpose. What about Sarah? Emma's expression hardens. Sarah was supposed to mind her own business. I hired Tyler to distract her, to give her something else to focus on. But she kept digging, kept asking questions about medical records and prescription histories. So you ended her too. Brake lines are surprisingly easy to cut if you know what you're doing. And I know a lot about anatomy, about which systems are most vulnerable to mechanical failure. The recording device in my pocket captures every word, but I'm starting to doubt I'll live long enough to deliver it to the police. The Patterson family? They knew too much. Sarah had shared her suspicions with Maddie. shown her copies of medical records. I couldn't risk them going to the authorities. How did you end them? Carbon monoxide, odorless, colorless, easily dismissed as a faulty furnace. They went to sleep and simply never woke up. Emma checks her watch, a casual gesture that chills me more than any threat. This has been therapeutic, Danny. I've never been able to share my accomplishments with anyone, but now it's time to wrap things up. She nods to her companions. They start moving toward me, hands reaching inside their jackets. That's when Jules emerges from behind the carousel, service tool drawn. Boston police, nobody move! The two attackers freeze, calculating odds and angles. Emma remains calm, untouchable. Detective Martinez, she says, I should have known Danny wouldn't come alone. Dr. Walsh, you're under arrest for the deaths of Thomas and Margaret Reeves, Sarah Reeves, and the Patterson family. I'm afraid that's not going to happen. Emma signals again. Her companions draw their devices, not firearms, but tasers, the kind that drop you instantly and leave no permanent damage. Jules fires first, hitting one assailant in the shoulder. He spins and falls, but the other one gets his taser up and fires. Jules convulses and drops, her device skittering across the broken asphalt. I rush the remaining attacker, using 15 years of boxing training to close the distance before he can reload. My right cross catches him on the temple, dropping him like a sack of cement. Emma applauds slowly, mockingly. Very impressive. Dad would be proud. It's over, Emma. Jules called for backup before we got here. State police are on their way. No, they're not. Jules called the number I gave her, a phone that routes to one of my associates. No one is coming to save you, Danny. The wounded attacker is getting back to his feet, dark red streaks running from his shoulder, but his eyes still focused. Jules is unconscious but breathing. I'm alone, outnumbered, and running out of options. You don't have to do this, I tell Emma. You've got enough money to disappear to start over somewhere else. I'm not running from my own brother. Besides, your death completes the set. The entire Reeves family gone within a year. Very poetic. The wounded assailant raises his taser again. I dodge left, putting the carousel between us, and grab a piece of broken mirror from the funhouse. It's not much of a tool, but it's sharp, and I'm desperate. You can't run forever, Danny, Emma calls out. This place has one exit, and we control it. She's right. The amusement park is surrounded by water on 3 sides and a fence on the 4th. I'm trapped in a maze of broken rides and shattered dreams, hunted by professional butchers and my own sister. But Emma made one mistake. She assumed I came here to talk. I didn't come here to talk. I came here to end this. The recording device in my pocket isn't just capturing Emma's confession. It's broadcasting live to a streaming service, uploading to cloud storage, sending copies to every major news outlet in Boston. Jules and I set it up this afternoon, a dead man's switch that activates if I don't check in every hour. Emma's confession is already public. Her career is over, her reputation destroyed, her freedom forfeit. All that's left is survival. I work my way through the funhouse using mirrors and shadows to confuse the pursuer tracking me. The wounded one is slower now, leaving a trail that makes him easy to avoid. But the other one recovered from my punch and is moving with professional precision. They're herding me toward the Ferris wheel at the center of the park, the tallest structure, the place with the least cover. Emma's plan is simple. Corner me in the open and finish this quietly, but I have a different plan. The Ferris wheel's control booth is unlocked, its machinery ancient but functional. I flip the main power switch, and 40-year-old motors groan to life. The giant wheel begins to turn, its passenger cars swaying in the night breeze. What are you doing, Danny? Emma's voice carries across the park. I climb into one of the passenger cars as it reaches the bottom of its rotation. The enforcers converge on the Ferris wheel, but they can't fire at me without risking hitting the machinery that's carrying me upward. At the top of the wheel, I can see the entire park spread out below me. Emma and her men look like toys, small and manageable from this height. I can also see the flashing lights approaching on the access road. Real police this time. Jules had a backup plan too. "It's over, Emma!" I shout down at her. "Your confession is already online. The whole world knows what you did." Emma looks up at me, her face a mask of rage and disbelief. "You recorded me?" "I recorded everything. The fatal acts, the methods, the motives. You're done." The police cars breach the fence, flooding the park with spotlights and sirens. Emma's enforcers drop their devices and raise their hands. Even professional operatives know when the game is over, but Emma doesn't surrender. She runs toward the Ferris wheel's control booth, probably planning to strand me at the top or send the whole structure crashing down. She's always been a sore loser. I jump from the passenger car as it reaches the bottom of its rotation, landing hard but rolling with the impact. Emma reaches the control booth just as I tackle her to the ground. We fight in the dirt and broken glass. 38 years of sibling rivalry finally coming to a head. She's smaller but desperate, clawing at my eyes, trying to reach the knife in her purse. I pin her arms and hold her down until the police arrive. Detective Kowalski cuffs Emma while paramedics check on Jules. She's conscious now, groggy but alert enough to give him a thumbs up. "You okay, Reeves?" Kowalski asks me. "I'm alive. That's more than I expected an hour ago." "Your recording is already going viral. Every news station in the city is running the story." I look at Emma, cuffed and sitting in the back of a patrol car. She stares back at me with pure hatred, the mask of respectability finally stripped away. "She ended 6 people for money," I tell Kowalski. "She ended 6 people because she could. Money was just the excuse." The sun is rising over Boston Harbor as they lead Emma away. Jules limps over to me, supported by a paramedic, but insisting she's fine. "So what now?" she asks. "Now I go home, clean up the mess, figure out what's left of my life." "What about the gym?" "The gym stays open. Dad would haunt me if I sold it now." Jules smiles. "Your father would be proud of you, Danny." "Yeah, why's that?" "Because you didn't quit. Even when everything went to heck, you didn't quit." She's right. Reeveses don't quit. We get knocked down, we get back up, we keep fighting. It's what we do. Tyler Morrison's yoga studio closes within a week, destroyed by the scandal and his own admissions of fraud. He leaves Boston quietly, probably to reinvent himself in some other city with some other lie. Emma goes to trial 6 months later. The prosecution has her recorded confession, financial records showing her motive, and forensic evidence linking her to all 6 deaths. She's convicted on all counts and sentenced to life without parole. I never visit her in prison. Some family ties are better left severed. The gym prospers in an unexpected way. Emma's crimes make national news, and the story of the boxer who brought down his deadly sister attracts attention from around the country. Young fighters come to train where the real-life Rocky learned his trade. I hire more trainers, expand the programs, start a scholarship fund for kids who can't afford the fees. Sarah would have liked that, turning something ugly into something useful. I keep her picture on my desk, next to one of my parents. They deserved better than they got, but at least now everyone knows the truth about how they died. Justice isn't the same as peace, but it's a start. 6 months after Emma's conviction, I'm training a new student, a 12-year-old girl whose grandmother thinks boxing will teach her discipline and self-confidence. She's got good reflexes and better attitude, the kind of kid who might actually make something of herself if she stays focused. Keep your guard up, Maria. Protect yourself at all times. Yes, sir, Mr. Reeves. Tommy Kellerman watches from across the gym, nodding approval. He's seen a lot of kids come and go over the years, but he knows the special ones when he sees them. She reminds me of you at that age, he tells me later. Stubborn, determined, too tough for her own good. Is that a compliment? It's the truth, and sometimes the truth is the best compliment you can get. I think about that as I lock up the gym for the night. Truth is a rare commodity, precious because it's so hard to find and so easy to lose. but it's worth fighting for, even when it costs you everything, even when it brings down your own family, even when it leaves you standing alone in an empty gym, surrounded by the ghosts of people who deserved better. Truth is worth fighting for. And sometimes, if you're lucky and stubborn and too dumb to quit, you actually win.